Yes. Alrighty. What's up, everybody? It is I, your Tribal God of Extreme, Peter Joseph here, for a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. It's Taco Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourself a taco on me. Now, but it's Tuesday afternoon, getting close to Tuesday evening, April the 7th, 2026. Thank you all for watching right here on the main channel. Once again, Killer of Demons 669. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video. Hit that subscribe button down there. You know where it is. In my pants, otherwise known as the description box below. So, subscribe to the channels right now. Now, like right now. Not then, but now. Don't do it later, but do it now. Leave a comment on this video or any one of my videos on my respective channels for the past, now, and in the future. Comment about all these stupid comments you get sent to the Shadow Realm, beaten with a fucking barbed wire baseball bat, and then Ozzy and Satan will pretty much laugh at you and then eat your soul. So don't do it. Go somewhere else and do that shit. And if you don't like it, too bad. Because you're going to get blocked and beaten severely. And that's that. Find me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget to tap and slap that bell to turn on all notifications so you don't miss the next one. Because if you do, you're pretty much SOL. You all know what that means by now. I don't think I need to tell you. And if you haven't already, share the video all over the internet. And if you're brand new here, well, welcome to the goddamn party, pal. We hope you enjoy the ride. Sit back, relax, grab the cold one, and enjoy the show. If you like it, great. You know, well, fuck you, man. And that's pretty much it. Alright. Tuesday afternoon, April the 7th, 2026. Hope you had a great day. Cold here in my neck of the woods today. Gonna be a little bit cold tomorrow, then gonna get a big, huge warm-up over the next few days, which is good. Gonna get to actual springtime weather. Yay! Not early spring, late winter weather. Don't like that. Like warm. Not too warm, but you know. But pretty soon we're gonna get hot weather. We got the summers coming around the corner. We're about a month away from the unofficial start of summer, and that's Memorial Day weekend. And then pretty much 3 weeks after that is summer officially. And then we'll be hanging out at the beach, seeing all the ladies with those thong bikinis, and the greatest time in the world, man. If you love winter, I mean, that's good for you, but I love the summer. Summer's my favorite season. Vacation, and all that other good fucking stuff. That's all that matters. And we move on. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you had a great day. Mets are on right now. They're losing 3-2 to the Arizona Diamondbacks at Citi Field. Freddie Peralta, well, wasn't doing so good, Al, but, you know, had a 2-0 lead. He came out in the 5th inning. Brazavan comes in. What does he do? What he does best, fuck it up. But it's the bottom of the 5th inning. See what happens. Hopefully the Mets can come back and win the game. And, see what happens with that. We shall see what happens with that. And, now it's the top of the 6th inning. Diamondbacks are ahead 3-2. So, we'll see what happens with that. Yankees are playing tonight. I believe at home against the Athletics. Boring. So, you know they gotta sweep them because we all know the Athletics suck. So, Yankees got a little, get a kind of easy start, but in about a week from now, they're gonna be playing Boston. And then Texas Rangers, the Angels, good teams. Not garbage teams like the fucking, I would say the Marlins, they swept them. But, yeah, they're on a roll right now. I think they're 9-1. We'll see what happens tonight. in that construction site in the Bronx. And that's pretty much it. Alright, well, enough about baseball and all that other good stuff. We got NXT coming up tonight, the aftermath of Stand and Deliver. That's going to be exciting. My cousin, Tony D, we'll see what happens as he's the new NXT World Champion. We got the new NXT Women's Champion, Lola Faises. She got a celebration tonight. But we do got some matches tonight. We've got the start of another men's speed tournament. But this time, it is for the vacant speed title as the former champion, Elio LaFleur, hurt his shoulder and he's out for 6 months. So we're going to get a new speed champion in a couple weeks. But the tournament starts tonight. We got Kiana Carver, Josh Briggs, and the Pasta. Jasper Troy. Big beefy men slapping the fuck out of each other. And we got some women's action. Sol Ruka, the resident surfer girl, taking on Boogie Hogan, Brother 2.0. That's Izzy Dame. We'll see what happens with Tatum Paxley and Blake Monroe. You know, fighting over that North American title, which Tatum still has. And a whole lot more on your 2+ hour, well, actually not 2+, but 2 hour Cure for Insomnia on the CW11 tonight. And that's NXT. And we'll see what happens tonight as we start a new week of action. But right now, everything I'm going to say right now is going to happen right now. But what happened to them, Peter? You, motherfucker, you missed it. So get out of here. But Peter, when will it be now? Soon. It'll be now. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for your late and out-of-date Monday Night Raw on Netflix review for last night, April the 6th, 2026. And last night's show wasn't bad. It was good, but not great. We had a mini pipe bomb from Phil. We had that. We had Femi and Brock Lesnar. Holy shit, at the end of that of the show last night. Woo! And I really wish Netflix would stop with the fucking time constraints. 2 to 2.5 hours. Come on. If they're going over, let them go over. It's Netflix. Who's gonna watch anything after? I mean, really. They're gonna go for 5 hours. Nobody cares. You're gonna watch. Stupid. No wonder Warner Brothers bought them. I'm just kidding. No, nobody bought them. I'm just saying. But too bad they couldn't buy Warner Brothers. That Paramount bought them. Oh, AEW might be in trouble. That's what I'm hearing. Future of AEW TV on TBS and TNT. Don't know right now. We'll see what happens as we roll along, even though AEW is going to be on TV for about another year or two because they have a contract. So, we'll see what happens, what Paramount does with WBD. Well, that's that. But anyway, Raw last night, like I said, it was crazy. We're 11 days away from WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens this Friday night on the program. Should be exciting from what happened last Friday with Pat McAfee showing up and all the controversy of that situation. And he would talk about it yesterday on the show. Oh, he got a receipt coming. He's got a lot of them. Holy shit. And TKO and WWE, they might be on the skids. But we'll see what happens with that. So anyway, we are from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Scared them Cowboys that night. And as always on Monday Night Raw, our commentary team, the legendary man who's been on Raw for 29 years, well actually in WWE for 29 years, and that's the legendary Michael Cole and Corey Slade. And that's that. Alright, so we start off with people coming into the building. Then we see Old Man Phil We were supposed to hear from him later, but no, he goes right to the ring. Like, really, pretty much marches to the ring. And he sits Indian style in the middle of that ring, like he's about to drop one of those pipe bombs. If you remember 2011. So before he can even speak, we get the OTC CM Punk chants, mostly more for Roman. Ha. So the fans know who to root for, the tribal chief, and that's that. Anyway, so Punk talks about Houston being a wrestling town. Has some good history and some bad history that he would like to forget. Talks about Paul Bosch, whoever that is. And Houston wrestling, loves to hear about the old timers. You can't help but compare yourself to them. And sometimes he dreams and asks, what would Harley Race do? Not talk for 20 fucking minutes and throw a pipe bomb and talk bad about the business like you do, Phil. He would just talk about Ric Flair or whoever his opponent is. He wouldn't give a fuck. I'm just saying. So Punk says the important things happen when we're awake. Then he gets up off his ass. And then he does his stupid catchphrase, it's good to be alive in Houston on a Monday night! Blah! Cheap pop. So then he starts talking about Roman. He's like, oh, Roman's not here tonight because the crowd was chanting OTC. But if he was, blah, blah, blah. So Punk talks about what happened the last 2 weeks, where Roman put him through a table, and then last week at Madison Square Garden, Punk put Roman through the table. Then he gets on the announce table like he's like God when you're not, and talks about how Roman hates him, which he does. But that's a good thing because Punk says, I won't trade my authenticity for approval. Even though he's not vying for approval of losers, is what prevents him from being one of them. And then the fans are chanting for Roman again. Punk says, I'm the one who's actually here. Nobody cares, Punk. Then he says, and I'm an old man. Yeah, Roman is 40 years old, you fuck. He's not that old. You're old. You're near 50, I'm near 50 and I'm old, but I look good. Just ask your wife, AJ Lee. That ass! Glad that goes. Anyway, so Punk, he takes off his garbage-looking jacket. Oh, he was on the apron before. Then he gets on the announcer's table. Sorry. Talks about how the WWE... Talks about how the company sent Roman to the Jimmy Fallon show. Got him good ratings, by the way. And Roman is there because he's safe and boring, and he's not gonna lose it, right? But on the other hand, I'm someone who could say anything. I can film TV shows and movies and never miss a show, but Roman uses it as a crutch to be gone. Right, Phil? Right? You're really, you're an idiot. Roman can do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, you can go on ESPN and talk about the fucking Chicago Blackhawks or any other fucking garbage Chicago team. And then talk a little bit about MMA, which you failed at. Pretty soon you might fail your marriage, if AJ Lee has anything to say about that. You're a failure. Anyway. So Roman could go do his TV stuff and, movies and stuff and be gone, and then Punk gets booed when he's in the building, and Roman's in the back puffing his chest around like he's the Rock, and then they cut to the face like, that was, no, I don't know about comparing that. And then he says, Rock used to be a Hollywood superstar. Ooh, okay, that got a little reaction. Because, Rock's not a great actor. Just saying. And then Punky Brewster talks about how Roman got a job because of Sika, his dad, who was a wrestler because he sucked at football. He sucked that bad in Miami. Just saying. Like you sucked in the UFC. Calls Roman a Nepo baby who ate dog food for a weird old man, like Vincent Kennedy McMahon, so it brings up that 2018-19 type thing with Baron Corbin and the Usos and all that stupid shit. That's Vince McMahon's stupidity right there, so I give Punk credit on that one. And he even brings him up and says that old man treated me like a dog for years, but I had FU money, and then I walked away. And went to MMA, failed there. Went to AEW, had minimal success, and then he had a fight with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And then Jack Perry basically said, "Real class!" So Punk took his ball, cried, went home, and then WWE King Kong was like, "Hey, we're sorry, Phil, come on back." And that's why everybody hates him, they can't control him. He's like, "You can't blackball me, they can't blackball me. And if I was standing on a bridge and I blew it up, I know how to swim, bitch." And it was like, "Oh yeah, now you're cooking, He ain't cooking shit! Until this part. So I was like, "Yeah, Punk, you're cooking." I was like, can we just end the segment already? But then he talks about Pat McAfee. He's like, "You can't come in here. You think you could come in here, and get in my business." What business does, I guess he meant WWE business. I don't know what he was talking about there, but anyway. He says, "Do me a favor, call your agent that shoehorned you into the show," meaning SmackDown, "and tell him to lower the ticket prices for Mania." I'm like, okay, now you join me in, Punk. Now you join me in. Because they should lower the prices for WrestleMania. And really, everything. We shouldn't be paying, like, extravagant amount of money. I mean, I know it's WrestleMania. I know it's the biggest pay-per-view of the year, SummerSlam. The Big Four, I get it. You have to pay a lot of money for because it's the Big Four. But other pay-per-views, like Backlash. Why do we have to pay $300 for a fucking ringside seat? It's stupid. I remember back in my day, I went to Ring of Honor circa 2009. From 2009 up to 2008, 17, 18-ish, right? I used to get front row seats at Ring of Honor shows at the Hammerstein, mainly the Hammerstein Ballroom, for $100 a pop. It was good. And then second row be $80, third row $60, and then as you go back, like $40 by the time you hit the 10th row. And then the balcony was like on $40. And I loved it. If I didn't have enough money for the front row, which sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't, I would sit second row, I would sit up to the fifth row, I would even sit in the second balcony. Not all the way up in the balcony, but like midway in the first and second balcony. I still have a great view and have a great time. And I don't have to pay a lot for my muffler. But going to a WWE house show and you want to get a good seat, you gotta pay an arm and a leg. I mean, come on. For ringside seats. AEW, when you want to sit in God's country, it's like $25. That's good. I'd rather sit in the nosebleeds and watch fucking Kyle Fletcher beat the fuck out of somebody, or Kenny beat the fuck out of somebody in the Bucks, I'd rather sit there, or maybe ringside it wasn't like $300, but at least AEW has prices that are affordable for people, because many people can't afford $500 seats ringside, all that experience like the VIP stuff. Or go to a VIP meet and greet before like a pay-per-view or some shit. Same thing with Ring of Honor when they came to the Hammerstein Ballroom. if you bought ringside seats, that's like $100 a pop. So that's where when I went with the missus, that's $200 for me. And then when they had meet and greets, they would charge like $20 for an autograph. I think an autograph and a picture. Or if it was a tag team, it's $30, which wasn't bad. So I would pick and choose what wrestlers I want to see, or I do the whole thing. It's like another $100 or so. Not bad. And then you got to bring money for food. So all in all, you're spending about $350, $400 for one show. It's not bad. Not bad. But you go to WrestleMania, it depends on what arena you go to. You're wasting a whole ton of money just for food alone and parking. Unless you're at MetLife. Sorry. But I really think that, wrestling should lower their ticket prices, especially for big events. The minor events, the B-level pay-per-views, you can keep them around the same, but the big pay-per-views, you gotta lower them. There's no way you're gonna sit ringside at WrestleMania for $4,000-$5,000. No! I mean, who has that kind of money? And then you gotta worry about airfare and food. If you're staying the whole week, or you're just going just for WrestleMania, or you're coming for SmackDown, the Hall of Fame. Night 1, night 2, maybe Raw. That's money because you gotta pay for the tickets for that. Then you gotta pay for food. You gotta pay for your hotel and transportation if you're taking an Uber or you're renting a car. That's even more money. I don't know how these people do it. I mean, yeah, everybody has jobs. We're all saving money to go to WrestleMania, wherever it may be. But ticket prices, you want to sit up front, you gotta be working like a $35 an hour job to get that type of money for one WrestleMania. Personally, I like to stay home and watch it for free. Not saying I'm cheap, but I'd love to go to a WrestleMania if it wasn't so fucking pricey. I mean, I would sit in the freaking top of the fucking stadium. I wouldn't give a fuck. I could see everything. Or just go to, I'll go to Full Gear if it's at The Rock, at the Prudential Center, or if I wanted to go all the way down to the Nassau Mausoleum, or if they had an event at the Barclays Center, which is like a hop, skip, and jump away from my neck of the woods, I'd go. Or is that the Garden? I could possibly go. Because, not that hard to get home from the area around the Garden, or Terminal 5, the horrible place that is. Or coming home from Citi Field if you're going to see Double or Nothing this year. Good luck getting home, especially on the train and car, because getting out of that parking lot, that Arthur Ashe whole stadium, that whole tennis area where the Mets play, that's a bitch getting out. And if you take public transportation, like if you take the 7 train, you're gonna be waiting at least a while to get on the train. Because there's going to be like, if you go to a Met game, there's like 20, at least 30, maybe 40,000 people. Almost half of them are, from Manhattan. They come via the 7 train. So, there's so many trains that go by, which is great, And then you only have to wait about 5, max 10 minutes for the train to come out of Flushing Avenue, which is the last stop on the 7 train. And then you get on, not that many people, but when, there's like 5, 10, 15,000 people trying to go back to New York on the 7 train, it fills up. And then you have to wait for another one, and then another one, and then maybe a third or fourth one. I know that from experience because when I went to Old Shea Stadium, I took the 7 train to games. I took the 7 train back. It was packed. I had to wait 3, 4 trains to just squeeze in. But, you know, and then hard to get a seat because by the time everybody gets off at Grand Central Station or 34th Street, Herald Square, you know, everybody gets off because at the time that was the last stop. Now it's Hudson Yard. So, you know, you get off at the 7 train, you go upstairs, you take whatever train you got to get to, whatever in Manhattan or in Brooklyn. You know, it takes a while. It takes about an hour at most, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on the trains, of course. And God forbid you got to take a cab home from wherever you got to go. Because if you want to get the bus to your house, you know, you're getting home like 12, 1 o'clock. Some areas don't have the bus after 12, and it's sporadic. So you're like waiting there for a half hour. It's insane. It's insane. Alright, I'm going off tangent, but I digress. But I agree with Punk and what he was saying last night. Lower the goddamn ticket prices for WrestleMania so people can watch him lose. He says, I'm gonna stand on Roman's throat. Yeah, right. You're not. Roman's penciled to win. So by April 20th, the Raw after Mania, Phil, you're gonna be crying up a storm. I want my belt back. Roman's like, alright, beat you again. We'll do it at Backlash. Why not? Why not? Let's do it. And, let me move on with that. Alright, so anyway. So Punk says, Pat, you're not coming here telling me to put ass people in seats. Lower the ticket prices so everyone in Houston can come to Vegas, see him take Roman out, which he won't. And that was it. Then he's like, my name is CM Punk and I approve this message, like he's running for president. Or some type of office. That was it, but the second part of this pipe bomb, if you want to call it that, that was good. That was great. But, you know, it would be nice if Roman came out next week by himself. I know it's, you know, the Raw before Mania, but during this whole thing, Roman should have came out, buried Punk. Buried him. Alone. Not having Punk come out and interrupt. They have a back and forth, which Roman won it's been like a month right now. And pretty much, I would say it's 2-1 Roman. It's 2-1. We'll see what happens on next Monday night on the Raw, but everybody thinks like, oh, Punk buried Roman last night. No, he didn't. He didn't do shit. He didn't even face Roman. And I can only imagine what Roman's going to tell Punk on Monday Night Raw next week. And maybe at the kickoff show, and then Night 2, which is the main event, because they already announced the matches for Night 1 and Night 2, which I'm not going to get in. I might get into it. We'll see. That's that. Roman and Punk are going to headline Night 1, and Randy and Cody gonna headline night 1, and like I said, Punk and Roman gonna headline Night 2. But it's 7 matches for, I believe there's 7 matches for Night 1 at this time, 6 matches for Night 2. But I think Asuka and Io are gonna be probably announced either this Friday on SmackDown or on Raw this Monday night. Even though there's not much build to it, but because, Io's dealing with, helping Mommy Rhea Ripley with the Jade Cargill problem. And they're going to be teaming up later on to take on B-Fab and Mia Yim. So, I don't know what's going to happen with Io, but then, you had her talk to Kyrie! And Asuka's like in the middle, like, why, I love you, Io, but now I must destroy you! And then Io's like, Asuka-ni-san, I know, her Japanese stuff. Next thing we know, we're gonna get Baka, bitch, Baka, bitch. I love to see that on Monday Night Raw. Let them do it, or Or do it after. I would say I wanted to do it at Mania, and then Kyrie turns on Asuka at Mania. But people are like, do it after the Raw after Mania. Nah, that screams Mania to me. But I mean, I'm not the booker. I wish I was, but I'm not. I'm just a 49-year-old guy from New York talking about wrestling. A man could dream. That's that. Alright, so Phil's little pipe bomb, I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. And we're off and running on Monday Night Raw. And we move on. Alright, then we're going to recap of I Show Speed's issues with Eli Drake. And what happened last week, where he knocked Eli the fuck out and helped Austin Theory beat LA Knight. We got, no, that was, the Usos win the, Austin Theory and Logan Paul win the tag team titles. And then we saw Eli Drake showing up on I Show Speed's, I think it's his Twitch stream, threw him through his fucking computer, beat his ass. So that leads to I Show Speed in the back. I guess he was looking for Mr. Danhausen. I will curse you. So he runs into Mr. Danhausen, and Speed wants the curse removed, and Mr. Danhausen's like, I will remove the curse in exchange for your mansion. Make it very nice, very evil. So Speed's like, what are you talking about? And then Adam Pearce shows up, and Speed's like, Adam, can you help me? Talk about the curse and trying to get Adam Pearce to help out. That ain't gonna work because Mr. Danhausen disappeared. He just fucking disappeared. And then Adam Pearce suggests that Speed go home before it gets even worse. But then the tag team champions, Austin Theory and Logan Paul, they show up and say, hey, we got your back. We got your back. Stay with us. We got your back. Don't worry about it. Right. Alright, so I give that 2.5 out of 5 stars, and then we get that. Alright, then we get to Austin Theory and Eli Drake with Logan Paul and I Show Speed at ringside. They kind of go back and forth. Not much from Logan Paul or Speed until Theory hits a shot to face into a rolling blockbuster. Eli shrugged that off, took Theory to the outside, ran them into the announcer table over and 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 over again. Then he throws Theory back in, and Logan Paul takes I Show Speed and shoves him right into Eli, who then chases after him. And then we hear the old theme song. Thankfully, you brought it back there, WWE. The Usos come out. Day one is just me, Us. Day one-ish. So, thankfully, the horrible theme from last week is gone. I think they knew better. So, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, come out, cut Speed off. Speed then somehow jumped over Eli Drake, who catches him on the inside. And I'm like, catches him on the inside. Logan Paul's save really doesn't work. Theory then rolls up. While this was going on, Theory rolls Eli Drake up with a handful of underwear. 1, 2, 3. Austin Theory beats Eli Drake. Match. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. And then after the match, Eli ain't happy with that. The Usos are trying for 1D. 1D and everything. But eventually, he gets out the ring. He goes up to the ramp. And then Eli asks for Adam Pearce to come out to make it a 6-man tag team match. Pearce comes out, grants the match, so that match is now official. And then he's like, Speed, I told you should have went home, but now you're going to WrestleMania. I have this weird feeling that Speed is going to get the pin in this match. He's not going to take the pin. I think even if he does take the pin, which is logical, but, there's that chance where I Show Speed can pin one of the Usos or pin Eli Drake. I hope not. I really hope not. But we'll see what happens at Mania. And we'll see what happens next week, pretty much, with all this. Let me move on. Alright, then, Michael Cole talks about the whole Pat McAfee thing on SmackDown. And, Cole was mad. He was like, I know Cody for 10, 15 years. We're good friends. Everybody knows that. Then he talks about his friendship with Pat on SmackDown. They were like this. And now he was disappointed. He was upset. And now he has to calm himself down. I get it. I get your beef there, Cole. I heard your complaint, sir. I read your complaint. I understand. Judge Wapner, shit like that. Anyway, so I get that. That leads to a video of, guess who? Phil. CM Puke talks about his favorite WrestleMania moment of all moments. He picks being an extra at WrestleMania 22 when he was a gangster coming out with Cena's entrance when he was taking on the Game Triple H for the WWE title at the time, and which we all know Cena won that match. So every time he comes to work, he thinks of that match. Okay, I mean, yeah, you beat Jericho at was that 28 or 29? You don't count that. I mean, that was kind of a good, not a big match for you, but a decent match. And you don't bring up last year's match with Seth and Roman, where you came out with Paul Heyman. You don't bring up a rinky-dink, nobody gives a fuck moment. That's all you can think of because you haven't had any success at Mania except for beating Jericho. And coming this close to beating Undertaker at 29? Ha! Some resume you got. You're a hypocrite. You are a bold-faced hypocrite, Phil. That's that. Moving on, I can't. Alright, after that, we were supposed to get Finn Balor and JD McFucktard in a one-on-one match, but, well, we don't get it because it ends in a no contest, because Dominic Guerrero, the Mega Champion, he comes out, wallops Balor from behind, and mocks Balor's pose and all that shit. Balor eventually fought back, goes after JD McDumbfuck, but Dom with the Mega Championship belt in the face. And then Dom beats Finn down with a chair. And then he points to WrestleMania. And that's it. So officially we got Finn Balor taking on Dom, not for the Mega Championship, just a straight up one-on-one match. And that's pretty much it. Hey Eddie, did you like your son's beatdown? I thought it was great, that's what I would have done. I told him everything I know. It's the fruit of my noise, essay. I know, but I think he woke up a certain demon. Oh, Dom's not scared of demons, essay. He's not scared of anything. I know in my heart of hearts, essay, Beto, that my son will beat that demon. He's beaten demons before. He defeated jail. Yeah, he was an OG in jail. Because jail changes a man. And if he would have done all the shit that people do now in prison, he would have got. And my son is a fighter, like me. Okay. I get it. Alright, so we'll see what happens with that. Alright, so I gave that 2.5 out of 5 stars, even though it's not a match. Alright, then we got a video on that ass. AJ Lee, the Women's Intercontinental Champion. And then including a lot of her time before taking 10 years off. We saw her, her last match at Mania where she teamed up with Paige against the Bella Sluts and made Nikki tap out. I think it was Nikki, but anyway. Look at that. That leads to AJ Lee and Michael Cole with a sit-down interview. So AJ says she's nervous about her first WrestleMania match in 11 years. And then the man! Becky Lynch, she comes in, calls Cole the worst interviewer It's like you ask softball questions, and you've been here for 29 years, and you're asking her these type of questions. Get out of here. So Cole's like, I don't have to take this. I'm going home. So he's out of there before telling AJ good luck. So then Becky talks about seeing AJ at WrestleMania 31, getting a fake hug when Becky was like coming up from NXT. Then AJ left pretty much right at the next day. Same thing with Punk. They both left the next day to get married. AJ tells her to keep underestimating what she can do, and cuts Becky off when Becky was not having that. But the reality is, Becky is a big star. She walked through the doors that AJ opened. And then the company called her for 10 years. The fans never forgot her. That's AJ saying that. When Becky goes home and asks her daughter who her favorite wrestler is, her daughter will say, it's not you, Mommy, it's AJ. And then she says, see you at WrestleMania, takes her title, and leaves. And Becky's like, Rah! Why you little? And that's it. I mean, the hype to this match is just bad. I don't think anybody really wants to see it. I hope AJ wins as an outside shot. Becky gets the belt back, because I think AJ will probably go away for a little while longer. I don't know. I think she's got some stuff in the summer. I don't know. I think the next time we may see AJ, might be at Night of Champions or a Clash in Italy. If not, probably won't see it until SummerSlam. Most likely be at SummerSlam. But if she has a title or not, we don't know. So we got that. So I give that 3 out of 5 stars, and that's that. Alright, back to the ring we go. With ladies action, we got Bayley! Give me a hug! And Lash Legend! Get shit done! Alright, they go one-on-one. The Bird Lady, light up that kid, the Lassie bitch from Ireland, and Nia, woo! Jax, they're there. And it was a pretty decent match. Eventually, Bayley with a middle elbow to the back gives her a near fall. And then Nia, woo! Jax interfered. And that's sort of a big old brawl with Lyra Valkyria. And then Charlexa comes out. Charlotte and Lexi, they come out. Charlotte hits Nia with her jacket. Nia was beaten down. I think it was Lexi. And then you see Charlotte take off her jacket. Bah! 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 Like, at least it wasn't her shoe. Who throws a shoe? Honestly! He was using her jacket like it's a fucking whip. I think Michael Cole's like, she's whipping her with a jacket. Come on, what is this? So then Bayley dives onto everybody. And then goes back up top. Lash tries a superplex. But Lyra broke that up. Bayley then just falls on top of her. 1, 2, 3 with Lyra holding Lash's foot. It's a little chicanery at the end. Match ends in a smidge over 8.5 minutes. And I gave the match 2.5 out of 5 stars, and that's that. Then we get to a recap of Walter returning and attacking Seth Rollins last week, and then pointing to WrestleMania, and that match is official for Mania, Walter versus Seth freaking Rollins. And then we're gonna hear from Seth in a minute, but before that, this Monday, we saw the trailer for the Netflix documentary on the Hulkster brother, the real American Hulk Hogan. Looks pretty good, they shows Hogan's final interview before he sadly passed away, last July. All the trials and tribulations of the Hulkster brother. And I'm actually looking forward to watching it after Monday Night Raw next week. I'm actually looking forward to it. I watched the Vince documentary. That was great. I watched the OVW documentary with Al Snow and OVW. That was good because I watched it just to see, James Storm was in the promotion. He was a national champion. back then, they were showing Hollywood Haley J and her mom, who if you watch Women of Wrestling on Channel 55 here in New York, or wherever you watch it from, they showed Haley J and Big Wig Bertha, former tag team champions. They showed them going to WOW when they first went there. This has to be like 2023-ish. I think this documentary was in 23 to 24. It was just on my recommended thing. After watching the Vince documentary, it just showed up. I'm like, oh, what's this? Wrestlers. I'm like, okay, let's watch it. So me and Mrs. were watching it, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. It was pretty good. Little heart-wrenching near the end, but still a good documentary. I recommend it. It's called The Wrestlers, I think it's called. But look it up on YouTube, on Netflix. All right, and then watch the Hulkster Hulk Hogan documentary this Monday on Netflix after Monday Night Raw, or it's gonna be up on Monday. So we get that. All right, Seth freaking Rollins comes out. He comes out in black, mind you. Talks about being gone for 6 months, happy for the fans to chant, to sing his song. He's back. And in less than 2 weeks, he faces Walter at Mania. He's not sure how got here, because he didn't think that he and Walter had any issues at the time. And the only option is that Walter must have entered into some kind of agreement with Paul Heyman, which we'll get into after this. But Rollins says, I'm back. I have two goals. Get my world title back and kill the Vision. Well, Braun Breaker is now medically cleared, so I think he will show up he's going to show up at Mania, probably beat the crap out of, he's going to cost Seth the match, or he's going to beat up Seth after the match, and that's going to set up something maybe for Backlash. So we'll see. He says, already got the Samoans got some Samoans to deal with, Logan Paul and Austin Theory. He says, Braun Breaker is on the shelf. Well, I guess he didn't read the memo that Braun Breaker is medically cleared. Bronson Reed is going to be out for who knows how long. That didn't end well. He also put Brock Lesnar on a silver platter for Oba. And he says Oba is the future, which he is, if they don't fuck it up. But as for Walter, if he wants to be in the big leagues, he wants to be in league with Heyman, and it's become personal for him. And then Walter tries for another sneak attack, locks in the sleeper. Rollins reversed that into one of his own, but Walter slipped out of that. They have a big old beat down. Rollins kicks him to the floor, suicide dive, the outside, and then Walter just started wailing on Seth, threw him over the announce table, but then Seth came right back and just wouldn't stay down. And then Adam Pearce and security had to break it up. Gunther got loose, hit a cheap shot. And then Michael was like, oh, that's a cheap shot. And then Cole here's like, yeah, I agree with you, Cole. Obviously. So, we get all that. And that's it. So, we move on with that. Alright, so the first part of that, I gave 3.25 out of 5 stars. Alright, then we go to the back. Walter runs into Paul Heyman and says, I don't know why you did what you did last week, but, there's nothing personal between, as far as I know, there's nothing personal between you and Seth, so I offer you a big thank you. And then Walter says, it's personal between you and Seth, so it's personal to me for different reasons, which he never said why. Maybe we'll find out on Monday. So then they shake hands, and Walter pulls Heyman into him and says, you owe me more than just a thank you. I'm like, uh-oh. Paul with his favors. We all know what happened with the first one. Where basically Punk's favor was for Paul Heyman to, basically turn on Roman and go to the ring with him at Mania. And Roman wasn't happy about that. And now this favor most likely is going to be that he wants to end Brock Lesnar's career at SummerSlam, which is going to be in Brock's hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota, August 1st and 2nd. So that's the favor, and then Brock's going to be all pissed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Heyman coming out with Walter at SummerSlam. I wouldn't put it past him, but we'll see. Alright, so I gave that 3 out of 5 stars. We look back at Roxanne Perez, Roxy, saving Liv Morgan last week from Stephanie McCurry's beatdown. So she made her comeback last week. So then we see a video from La Pimenta. Stephanie McCurry says, Liv's hair dye must have gotten to her brain if she thinks middle school insults are going to be enough. Talking about, tu mangi basura bella. Stuff like that. Liv's trying to solve her daddy issues with Dom Dom, who's trying to deal with not being as good as his own dad. Hey! Uh-oh. Did you hear what she said? I heard what that pendeja said! How dare she say that about me and my son? My son is his own man. He has a hot girlfriend, pero. He's got a real-life wife, too. She's hot, too. My son is his own man. I don't get what this pendeja is saying, that better. Okay, Eddie, calm down. I know you got you mad, but calm down. Anyway, so Stephanie wants to inspire girls, but while Liv says it's on sight, the truth is she'll never see it coming, whatever that is. So we'll see what happens with that. Alright, 2.5 out of 5 stars for that. Alright, then we get to a 6-man tag team match player. We got the Intercontinental Champion, Pentagon Zero Miedo, and that guy named Dragon Lee, and your boy is Bouncy! The Tasmanian Devil himself, Javon Evans, as they take on Los Americanos, the fake Grande Americano, that's Ludwig Spears, Marcel Bartel, and Brayon Bravo, Pete fucking Dunne, and Tyler Bate. Alright, typical, felt like a luchador match on Lucha Libre del Mundo, Televisión Excelente, Televisión del Mundo. And that's that. Alright, come back from break, Pentagon hits a double DDT, gets the hot tag to Dragon Lee for diving on a Grande Americano. Bravo has to save Rayo from a Styles Clash, and then all 6 men are in the ring, parade of knockdowns. Dragon Lee finally hits the Styles Clash on Bravo, but El Grande Americano once again made the save. Then a bunch of super kicks sets up Pentagon's Mexican Destroyer on the apron. Ow! And then Javon with pretty much the triple jump OG Gilly Cutter! Bang! 1, 2, 3. He got air on that. Woo! He gets more freaking flyer miles than people that go on Delta. But I digress. So, Javon, Dragon Lee, and Pentagon get the win over the Americanos. Pretty good match, 3 out of 5 stars. And then after the match, they were celebrating and stuff. Pentagon's talking about the ladder match. And then out of nowhere, Booyaka, 619, Rey Mysterio. Oh, sorry, Eddie, he came out. Ah, damn it, I thought he was dead. That pendejo. Okay, calm down. Anyway, so Rey Mysterio is back from his injury. Javon's like, oh my god. Oh my god, it's Rey Mysterio. He's starstruck. He never saw Rey Mysterio in his life. Okay, Javon, calm down. Anyway, so he comes out, praises Pentagon in Spanish, a little bit of English for everything he's done. He says, you know what, I missed WrestleMania last year due to injury, and I just had a talk with Adam Pearce, And he agrees that this ladder match is missing one more person. So he says, that sixth man is me, ese pero. So Rey Mysterio's in that match with Dragon Lee, with Pentagon, with Siobhan, with Rusev, and JD McDumpfuck. So I think it's gonna be a pretty good match. Might be the sleeper match of I think it's night one. But anyway, so Pentagon's all happy. He shakes Ray's hand and then says, "Let's make history, I say." I think it's gonna be a great match. I want Javon to win it. I know Javon's gonna do some wacky, crazy shit. I'm telling you now, he's gonna hit an in mid-air fucking OG cutter from the ladder. Or he's gonna kind of emulate Spanish God Sammy Guevara, what he did to Cody in their TNT title match from years ago. Remember when Sammy jumped from the turnbuckle to the ladder, and then super gilly cutter from the top of the ladder. That was crazy. I think Javon's gonna top that. He's gonna go nuts. And if he doesn't win the title, that's just blasphemy. And there's an outside chance that Pentagon wins, but I'm going to go with Javon in that match. Javon has come, he's 23 years old, I think. 22, 23 years old. And, he just shot up. He wasn't even in NXT that long. And he's on the main roster, had a couple of good matches here and there. Even though he got his ass handed to him a little bit on the main roster. And now he's thrust into the Intercontinental title scene. And he's going to WrestleMania in pretty much his first couple months on the main roster. How great is that? I'd like to have that, Me just debut at Mania. Kind of like how Cody came back, when Cody came back at WrestleMania 38, I think it was? It was 37, 30, no, it was 38. Had that be a surprise, surprise comeback or surprise debut, like Joe Hendry against Randy Orton and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with that. Alright, so that ladder match is going to be epic. Let me move on. Alright, then we see Cody's promo from SmackDown after Pat McAfee's whole thing. The shoot promo on Pat McAfee and TKO. So we got that. Then we're going to look at the WrestleMania 6-man tag being set up earlier with ISO Speed and The Vision against the Usos and Eli Drake. And then Speed realizing he's in big trouble, but still was a funny segment. We get that. All right, then we get a video what happened last week with Oba, Femi, and Brock. Oba up 2 weeks to none. Really 3 weeks to none if you think about it, but we got that. All right, then we get a video for my first amazingly hot Asian wife, Asuka. Nobody is ready for Asuka. Except my dick. You know all that. Been saying it for years. She talks about how EO, my third amazingly hot Asian wife, abandoning her and tried to steal Kyrie, my second wife, away from her as well. She tells EO, I was here to pave the way for you and Kyrie. Made sacrifices to make everything better. But it was all out of love. He says, EO, I loved you, so much, maybe too much. And then EO rebelled against her, and it's time for her to get revenge, including one more lesson in the ring. So, I was thinking, I guess that's going to be added to Mania, which hasn't been announced yet, even though EO did a response on her Twitter page. If you haven't followed, do it now. Tell I said so. Io basically saying, you were my senpai, and now the student is going to teach the teacher a lesson, basically. They fought before, one-on-one. I think Io lost that match. I forget. But anyway. But now, and now Asuka and Io basically fighting for, Kairi's love and stuff like that. And I think we're going to see Kairi finally have enough of Asuka and get back with her, basically her sister, who's younger than her, because Asuka's the oldest. So, I think Io will beat Asuka at Mania, and Asuka will go to 0-9. Ugh! But, I don't know. So I think Kairi and Io will get back together, maybe go for the tag team titles, and then make Mommy Rhea Ripley pretty, jealous. I think Mommy will beat Jade for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then I think between after that, Mommy's gonna see that Io is, spending more time with Kairi than her, and then Mommy's gonna just turn on Io, and then eventually, when they do the promos together, Io's like, I fought you 6 times and you never beat me. And then Mommy's like, I only need 1 time. And I think they're gonna do it at SummerSlam, maybe around SummerSlam time, maybe after that, maybe before that, who knows. And I think Mommy will finally beat Io and retain her SmackDown Women's Championship. That's how I see. That's how I would book it. The jealousy angle. I got your back. No, I got your back. And then eventually he's like, hey! We're supposed to be a team. Why are you hanging out with Kairi? And then, Mommy's like, you've always been jealous of me. I took you under my wing. We were friends. We were tag team champions and this and that. And this is how you treat me? You go back to being with your friends? Your sister? I'm your sister. I loved you. This and that. Weird shit. I don't know. We got that. Anyway, then we move, speaking of Io and Rhea Ripley. So, their name is Rio, and they dance upon my lap. And when they're done, they go and take a nap. So we get that. So, Rio reunites Io and Rhea Ripley. They take on B-Fab and Mia Yim. Before the match, Jade, Cargill, the SmackDown Women's Champion, she comes out. Nice little, fur coat or whatever you were wearing. That was pretty damn nice. So we get that, and, match didn't last that long. It's kind of, I was like, this is probably going to be one of those squash matches, but it lasted just under 7.5 minutes. A double missile dropkick against Mia Yim, B-Fab, Io's flippy dippity doo suicide dive takes them out again. We go to break, we come back, Io's in trouble, because as always, in a break, the heels come back. Io's in trouble, and Mommy being drawn in off a distraction. Jade sends Rhea into the ring steps. Ow. But Io sends Mia Yim into that same ring post. And that leaves B-Fab to get rolled up with, I guess, a handful of undies, panties, whatever. 1, 2, 3. Io gets the win for her team. Match wasn't great, but still 2.5 out of 5 stars. And that's it. And then after the match, Jade comes in, and big old beatdown, and then Mia Yim and B-Fab hold Mommy in the corner as Jade goes to work on Io, picks her up, hits Jaded, laying Io out, you bitch. And right in front of Mommy Rhea Ripley, and that was it. And then eventually, after they left, Mommy goes right to Io, see if she's okay. She seems okay. Well, that's pretty much it. Don't worry, I gave her a good massage after. Aha. I digress. Alright, then we get a video for Finn Balor says that he taught Dom how to play dirty, even though that was Eddie. But playtime's over. There's another side of him that he thought had been buried forever, but Dom woke it up. And now it's back. It's coming for Dom at Mania. I'm like, uh-oh. Demon Balor is coming. Maybe with Demon Ito. We'll see. That's that. And then that leads to Dom. He's nervous about seeing that and what that means, but JD McDumpfuck, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxy and Liv, they try to calm him down. Dom has an idea. He leaves with JD McDumpfuck. And then Liv Morgan's wearing a WrestleMania 15 shirt. Interesting. She talks to Roxy, thanks her for helping out last week. She knows Finn, there's a problem, there's an elephant in the room. She knows Finn brought Raquel onto the team. And then out of nowhere, La Primera, Stephanie Vergara, pretty much comes storming in, boom, and knocks Liv right into Roxy. They bump heads, and if you've seen Liv and Roxy's Instagram or Twitter account, they had a big old bump on their head. I think Roxy took it a little bit worse because it looked like she hit the back of her head on the floor. And she just came back. And they were talking about maybe Roxy has a concussion. I'm like, oh, great. She just came back. Now she's on the concussion protocol list. Great. And then Stephanie took Liv through the LED, through the TV, basically. The smart TV. I guess stop playing WWE 2K26 in the back, play a different game. It is what it is, and that's that. So Stephanie gets a one-up on Liv. Liv is pissed. That's that. Then during the show, we saw this weird video where we have these, six, I think it was 5 girls sitting down in chairs, and there was a guy there in a chair. He has his shirt off. They have these women sitting down, and then they're doing some type of weird dance, but you can hear Liv's laugh in the background. And I'm like, what is this? And then we find out it's Liv's going to have a special dramatic entrance at Mania. Maybe a new theme? I don't know. So, that's something to think about. That's cool. And we move on. Alright, then we get to the final segment of the show. Contract signing between Oba and Brock. Adam Pearce and The Game! Triple H, they come out to oversee the contract signing. Paul Heyman comes out and handles Brock's introduction. He's the conqueror who'll conquer the ruler, stuff like that. Brock Lesnar, as only he can. So he's in the ring. Oba comes out, and he's about to get in the ring. Brock jumps him as he's about to get in the ring. Oba fights back. Rams listening to the ring post. They go through the contract table. You knew that was going to break. And then a whole bunch of security come out. They break it up. That pole part didn't work because they're still fighting. And then Brock threw the chair at Oba. Oba threw it right back. Security's trying to get away from this shit. And then, we saw the credits. I'm like, wait a minute, are we going to end early without the contract signing? What's going on? So they start fighting, and then, with the chair throwing and everything, then the show goes to black. It fades to black at exactly 10:30. And everybody's like, what happened? What are we missing? And then, there was videos of the aftermath where Brock went outside, picked up the ring steps, threw it in, hit a fucking security guard. And then Oba took the steps, threw it to the outside. And then Brock picked up something around the announcer's table, threw that in, hit a poor innocent security guard, I think in the face or the arm. Because they were showing him he was down and everything. He got knocked out or something. And poor security guards, shit. So that's that. So no contract signings. I don't know if they're going to try to do it next week. or it's going to be at the kickoff show. I don't know. But these two behemoths are just, nobody can stop them. And something's got to give, and they're going to have that match at Mania. I think it's night 1. But we have that. Mets tied it up, by the way, at 3. That's nice. So it's 3-3, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs. So this game might be going to extra innings, unless Frankie Lindor gets on base, and we'll see what happens with that. But this game might be going to extra innings, and Devin Williams was in, so either Luke Weaver might have to come in the 10th. I mean, we'll see. But that's pretty much it. Alright, so pull apart to end the show. That's it. That final segment, I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that's it. And let me see if I can get the matches for both nights of WrestleMania 42. Okay. Let's see if I can get it here. Alright. For night 1, we got Cody versus Randy. That's going to be main event. Stephanie Victoria and Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship, the World Women's title. Seth freaking Rollins and Walter. That's on night 1. AJ Lee and the man, Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental title. Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team match between Nia Jackson Lash Legend taking on Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, Bayley and Lyra, and the Bella Sluts. And then, during the first hour, which is going to be on ESPN 2, we got Jacob Fatu and Drew Papucho McIntyre in that unsanctioned match. And what might start the show is that 6-man tag team match, which just got announced. Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and ISO Speed taking on the Usos and Eli Drake. That's night 1. Night 2, on the first hour on ESPN, not ESPN 2, but ESPN, the ladder match for the Intercontinental title, Pentagon, Javon, Dragon Lee, JD McDumpfunk, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. Oba and Brock, which they're saying might be on the might start the show, or at least be in the first hour of the show. Then you got Sammy defending the U.S. title against Trick Willie Shawn, Finn Balor, Demon Finn Balor, and Dom Dom. Jade versus Molly for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and like I mentioned before, Roman and Punk to close out night 2. But as always, card subject to change, and that's that. All right, Luke Weaver is in for the Mets in the top of the 10th inning. And we'll see what happens with that. Mets are not a great extra innings team this season. I think they lost a whole. I think they lost 2. I think they're 1-2 or 0-3, something like that. Because I know they had 2 games that went to extras against the Cardinals. They lost both. Then I think they had one against the Giants. I think they lost that. Then they won the game at home. I think. I forget. But we'll see what happens with that, with the Mets, and we move on. Alright, so that's that. So, we got the matches for Mania Night 1 and 2. Might be another match added. Could be Asuka and Asuka and Io. I think that's probably be on Night 2, because Night 1, I think, has 7 matches, and Night 2 has 6, so that if Asuka and Io are added, that makes 7. So 14 matches altogether for Mania, split up into Night 1 and 2. So, probably, I think Mania is going to go at least 3, maybe close to 4 hours for both nights. Unlike AEW pay-per-views, which go 5+ hours. Ugh. No wonder MJF was mad at Tony Khan for the length of time for the pay-per-views and shit. And that's that. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, Raw, I thought it was alright. Nothing great about it. I mean, besides Punk's mini pipe bomb, Oba and Brock at the end, most of the show was kind of meh. It is what it is. So I'm gonna give Raw pretty standard 7 out of 10 stars. Let me know what you guys thought of the show down below in the comment section. And like Trick Willie would say, let's talk about it. And that's that. Alright, gonna get ready for NXT coming up at the top of the hour. So we're gonna watch that, have a sensible dinner, and then after NXT, we'll do a very late Dynamite Collision review. That's gonna be on my Peter Joseph channel. Tomorrow we'll talk about NXT. Get you ready for Dynamite, because that's the go home show before Dynasty on this Sunday, and see what happens with that. I don't think we don't have a Collision this week. I don't think, because we had it last Thursday, which did okay in the ratings, didn't do great, because it was going up against, I think, the Final Four or something like that. By the way, speaking of that, I lost the Final Four game. Michigan beat UConn by 6, so they're the national champions. So, hey, 3 out of 5 years ain't bad for UConn. They'll come back next year and kick some ass. We'll see what happens with that. But congrats to Michigan winning the NCAA the NCAA title. And we'll see what happens with that. So, college basketball is done until pretty much November. So we're getting ready for hockey and basketball. The playoffs are about to start. Probably pretty much around the end of this month. Going through all of May, and then I think it ends right before Memorial Day, or maybe bleeds into a little bit of June. We'll see. And that's that. Then we got the NFL draft at the end of this month. That should be exciting. So baseball will be in its first month of the season. So lots of good stuff coming your way. And as we get into May, June, July, we're talking about, football coming back with training camp and all the other stuff coming up. August, we got the Hall of Fame game, and then right around the corner, the NFL season will begin on a Wednesday, and then the Niners play in Australia, mate, against the Rams in week 1, and then I'm back in football mode, still be cheering on the Mets. If they're still in contention by that time, we'll see. And then preseason hockey's back, and hockey and basketball are back at the end of October. So, it never ends. It never ends with the wide world of sports. Not the show, but you know what I mean. But, you go from season to season to season with your favorite teams. Would it be football, baseball, hockey, wrestling is pretty much all year round. Doesn't have many off days and all that shit. But, that's the way that's the way sports is, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. I love talking about it with my friends, my family, the missus, of course, and, you great people out there, giving your somewhat good opinions, somewhat stupid opinions that make no fucking sense. But, I mean, it is what it is. We talk, we voice our displeasure, whether it be good or bad, or really bad, some of you. Shady. I'm sorry. And that's the way it is. And that's pretty much it. Alright, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get ready for NXT. And I'll see you guys later for your late, and out-of-date Dynamite and Collision review. That's going to be on my Peter Joseph channel, like I said. Tomorrow, we'll talk about NXT as well on the channel. And maybe some hits and misses. We'll talk about a few things, maybe, if I have some time. And that's pretty much it for that. Busy week, again, like I said. I had plans today. I changed them to Thursday. So, whatever I don't get done tomorrow, probably be late Thursday night. And then Friday afternoon, might do some videos. I might actually do my my Dynasty. Actually, I'll do Dynasty on Sunday, probably be early Sunday, early to mid Sunday, and then we talk about Rebellion on. We'll talk about Rebellion on Friday, because I want to do a TNA Ring of Honor review Friday, get that out of the way, because I don't want to conflict anything, getting the predictions for Rebellion, and then we'll do the review probably Sunday, and then we'll do the predictions for Dynasty, and then Dynasty review next Monday. Lots of videos coming your way, so you gotta hit that bell, because these are the 2+ weeks. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about Dynamite. We're going to talk about Collision, Ring of Honor, TNA, Raw, SmackDown before Mania, NXT, and then reviews for reviews for Dynasty, Rebellion, predictions for Mania. As far as reviews for Mania, that'll be one big review the Monday after Mania. After night 2, we're going to do a big review for night 1 and 2. And also be doing shorts for Mania, maybe for Dynasty. We'll see what happens with Rebellion and all that. So stay tuned to my channels. So, like I said, you have to hit that bell now, because if you miss anything, you missed a lot. And that's all I got to say about that. So after Mania, we'll probably calm down a little bit, and then we'll keep going until probably around late July or early August. Well, I might take a weekend break or maybe a week break. We'll see what happens. Depends on my vacation schedule, and that's all that. Because with the war going on, with the stupid shutdown, with the TSA at the airports, it's just insane. Hopefully that gets done before the summertime, so I can go on an actual vacation instead of a weekend vacation. But I mean, I went last year, so I didn't have a problem with the TSA, so we'll see what happens between now and maybe July or August. So stay tuned to my channel. I will update you guys by July if I'm going to take a weekend break, or I'm going to take about a week break, and that's pretty much it. That's it. But we'll see what happens with that. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, peace!